24th of May 2023. I'll shout a bit louder. My camera's up on a height a bit and a bit closer to me. Hopefully that'll help. This is about a circular that's recently issued. I'd like to inform you about it. It's about the environment. Now, essentially, with environmental matters and big plans and programs of government or otherwise, you have the international treaties. You have the Aarhus Convention on Public Participation, and you have the Espoo Convention, which requires member states to notify their neighbours of big projects they're going to do. European law, that's the SEA directive in this case, and the EIA directive. The European law is founded in the treaties of the European Union, and if they're going to have a plan or programme, it has to be covered by an environmental report with public participation and all of these treaties built into it, all bypassed in the case of the government's energy programme. The next thing, you have Irish law. That's what they're trying to use. They're trying to regularise all their mad schemes using Irish law. And then you have developers. And with onshore wind energy, it's the developers who do the SCA and this. They can put in their application in the absence of any of this. And maybe like they try to use non-compliant SCA directives, but basically the government just lays down the finance and off goes your developers, and they're the ones who essentially drive the whole thing. Then you have landowners. In the case of wind farms and pylons, they're the people who own the land. In the case of the pylons, they can horse them in on them, whether they like it or not. In the case of the wind farms, they have to give their consent, and a lot of them will take the money and do that. Next then is the citizens. That's me and you, ordinary person. Now the thing about the landowners, in the case of the foreshore, that's the land, the land from the up along the coast. That belongs to the state. It doesn't belong to any individual. Now, a circular was issued on the 18th of May, it's only a few days ago, I don't know, can you see it there, by the Department of Heritage, Housing and Heritage and all of that, local government. And what it says is, now you know, of course, that I have been campaigning to make them comply with the law in relation to all of this, and it's been a huge struggle doing it. We're slowly but surely getting there, and we had a wee collection there recently which was very successful, thank you, and we're working on that bit by bit. But this circular says, regarding pausing determination of existing consent applications relating to prospective ORE, and I take that is offshore renewable energy. Funny enough, onshore is also ORE, but offshore renewable energy, site investigation activity until the offshore renewable energy designated area have statutory effect. So effectively they haven't amended the Foreshore Act to allow for the testing to be done. Now a fisherman from Wicklow, you'll get it there in the Irish Times online, took a case. He had his fishery going along, and he had whatever it was, I don't know, was it lobsters or whatever, he had a fishery anyway going along there, and he was making his living there, and so were many others. And the next thing is, they suggested ploughing in there with big bulldozers, big diggers, the whole lot, and ripping all round them to do tests and to see what sort of a setup was for the offshore wind, right? Now, neither the offshore wind nor the foreshore site investigations were legal because they didn't comply with the SCA European law. But they might comply with Irish law, but they didn't even comply with that. So he went to the High Court, and I think this is part of this. Now, what it says is, the government has decided that, arising from the policy statement on the framework for phase two, offshore energy development, no new applications for developer-led offshore wind activity should be accepted by consenting bodies, that's Bord Pleanála and the county councils, by consenting bodies, and the assessment and determination of existing consent applications relating to prospective offshore wind sites investigation should be paused. So now, just when somebody had to go to the trouble of going to court, and proves the point that by hammering at them every way you can, that you make them come round to compliance. They were hoping this had all sailed through, and they'd have all the site investigation done, and all done in complete compliance, contradiction of the law, and leave the fishermen go to hell. Leave the fishermen go to hell. Rip the whole shore out of it. You'd be fined if you took a barrow load of sand off the foreshore. And I've known the Gardaí to intervene where people were taking a bit of sand for a garden and stop them. Now Now, so this should be paused until the offshore renewable energy ORE designated area, which will be designated according to legislative provisions. No, it won't be designated according to legislative provisions. They're going to try and designate it under Irish law only. They're not going to use the European law, but I'm working hard to get the groups concerned to go in and challenge them on this. You can't start hawking around the coast and do all that as part of a pre-site examination for offshore wind when there's no SCA for offshore wind. Okay? So until the offshore renewable energy designated areas, which will be designated according to legislative provisions for designated maritime area plans in the Maritime Area Planning Act in 2021 have statutory effect. See, they're hoping now they'll be able to have power to this. Public interest. There is a large volume of developer-led site investigation foreshore applications on hand. So all the developers are in with their hands in the top. And there are big notices in the media and everything else, giving you, you can buy clothes in Dunnes Stores if you change to SSC, and they'll have a big notice in the Anglo-Celt. If you live near the Bindu or the wind farm in Courtill, you can qualify for a grant or something for your community because of this. And they don't even have a proper set of accounts when the last time I checked them, and they have contributed to the highest electricity prices in the world. And it was on the news this morning that people who have prepay meters are finding their electricity cut off, and there's no little bit of leeway at all. The middle of the dinner, the kids are from school, you have no electricity, and if you have no money, you have no electricity. And these are the maggots that are at this. You see, these are the ones they want in charge, right? So, however, the government has agreed that the public interest is best served by moving to a plan-led approach. A plan-led approach, remember what I said, plan or program. So what they were saying was it's a developer-led approach. You see that? Developments around the coast and within significant proportion of Ireland's maritime area, right? So there are a lot of applications. They were hoping to get away with a development-led approach. All these old developers, BlackRock and Blackstone and all of this, looking for big old Yankee investors dying to put their money somewhere. And they were going to have this. So now they're moving to a plan-led approach to the assessment of such applications. This will guide investment and decision-making and will complement the forthcoming network of marine protection areas. Well, they can do that. They can do the marine protection areas. They can do that all right. So where is going to be protection? Whose fisher is going to be knocked? The ones with the lowest pockets. So where there are fishermen around the coast who are prepared to fight this, they'll get away. They'll not put them there. And where it's maybe over the west, a lot of them are old Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael hacks anyway, and they're fishermen, and they lie down and ask, what can we do? Some of them, not them all, by the way. With some great people in the west. But that's the plan. So it'll be that whoever is the least objecting to it, decision making, will complement the forthcoming network. So that's what they're at. It is critical that a robust planning framework be put in place. You see this? That a robust planning framework be put in place that ensures not only achievement of our offshore wind energy objectives, I'll make sure you don't, but also maintenance of our environment protection obligations. You can't balance offshore wind energy with the environment. It can't be done. Economic well-being of local communities, yeah, they'll give them old free. You could be in and go buy old lingerie and knickers and old style and things in Dunnes Stores. That's what they mean. Or if you have a school, they'll give you some bit of an old grant for the destruction of your environment and the interests of other marine users. Well, now who's going to decide that? Who's going to decide the marine users? No. Similarly, the technical and specialist expertise and resources which are currently being deployed to the assessment of these speculative applications. See, read that again for you. Similarly, the technical and specialist expertise and resources which are currently being deployed to the assessment of these speculative applications can be deployed to deal with the volume of applications associated with preparing phase 2 of grid technology. Now, that says it's the developers that were getting it done free, and now the state's going to use these same people. right? There's no word of a strategic environmental assessment at all. The Maritime Area Regulation Authority, MARA, will now be formally established. So they're going to establish an authority. More jobs for the boys. In July 2023. In that regard, Government has agreed to process legislative amendments to the Maritime Planning Act of 2021 and Foreshore Act of 1933 to facilitate the transition, everything's transition of applications from the existing foreshore regime to the new plan-led regime to be operated by MARA. The benefit of this approach is an expedited and orderly closure of the foreshore consenting system and to maximise the opportunity available for more modern consenting structures provided in the MAP Act. In line with the government decision, MARA will not consider applications that are inconsistent with the offshore renewable energy plan or the DMAP plan. No word of the SEA, so they're setting up a type of a second board planola as far as I can see, and that second board planola is supposed to have all the authority to do this. Well, they'll have to write the words Strategic Environmental Assessment 20142 EC. They'll have to advertise as such, and they'll have to allow full public participation, including why they're doing it. They're going to try and avoid doing that, and it's my job to encourage those who are interested in this. Please understand, we have already knocked these crowd off their pedestal with our SEA. We've already whacked them with European Court 2419 in Belgium. We have our case in the European Court for Ireland and for Sweden and Holland, and we have I take no thanks for it. Friends of the Irish Environment have them stuck in the European Court, and they're not going to get out of that either. So it's a question of who blinks first. It's a bit like in America with the budget. They're going to go bankrupt soon. Congress won't sanction all the mad spending they want to do, and they want to borrow more. And it's who blinks first. And this is the same. This is a deadly combat between the corrupt government in Dublin and the citizen. Now, the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage has signed the Maritime Planning Act, has signed the Maritime Area Planning Commencement Certain Provisions Order 2023. The order commences Part 2 of the Act and will affect from the 15th of May 2023. Accordingly, the provisions of the Act dealing with maritime spatial plans and designated maritime area plus DMAP are now in force. They think they're in force. If there's wind farms going up, they're a project. If they're a project, there has to be an EIAR, and there can be no EIAR until the overarching plan or programme is completed under the SEA directive. This enables the Minister to prepare a DMAP or to designate public bodies as competent authorities. So who is going to be designated? Is it going to be EirGrid? Who are as competent authorities for the purpose of preparing the DMPA? Now, the SEA has competent authority. It's a competent authority that completes the assessment under the SEA. It could be a branch of EirGrid. There has to be a Chinese wall. There has to be a divide or a separation of powers. The people doing it has to be independent. So now here we see the word competent authority coming into it. And but this is for Irish government law. This is for this. So now we see no word of the Strategic Environmental Assessment Directive. Will they notify the United Kingdom, for example, the Welsh government? That's the law. The French government. A DMAP is a forward-looking subnational maritime plan. Subnational. What does that mean? I'd say it means it's just at Irish level. That will contribute to the overall management of the maritime area. Yeah. DMAPS can have a sectoral or multi-sectoral purpose, and most will also have a geographical focus. What a load of old baloney. Why can't they use plain man's language? They are an important forward planning tool, and will enable us to balance harnessing our huge offshore wind potential. We have no offshore wind potential. It's no good. We have 4,000 megawatts of onshore, and we have the highest electricity prices in Europe. With protecting our rich and unique maritime environment. but they were going to plough on without it. Only the enormity of what they were doing got them caught. DMAP will support DMAP will support sustainable development of our maritime area and facilitate coherent and transparent decision making. You see, the transparent decision making is compliance with the law of the European Union, which dictates the environment. But they want to do it themselves. The policy statement of onshore renewable energy phase 2 makes it explicit that all further offshore wind developments must be determined as part of a plan-led structure. This is the first time ever they made mention of a plan-led structure. You see, you can't have a development plan-led structure because the developer can't do the SCA. Underpin the ORE designated maritime area plans, DMAPS. So they have all of that. Yours sincerely, Mary O'Sullivan, Assistant Principal Officer, Foreshore Unit. Now, the thing about it is, folks, on 16 minutes, this may be viewed by people facing this offshore thing. There's going to be a big hullabaloo about it. They are probably, almost certainly, trying to avoid the European law. All we have to do is put in our submissions, just draw this to their attention, let them go ahead. How are the staff there going to handle this? They know they're breaking the law. We can hopefully get enough people or fishermen or whatever to get together. It's 40,000 to go into court to challenge a wind farm application with lawyers, with good lawyers. It's another 20 to appeal to the Court of Appeal, and it's another 20 to go to the court, to the what do you call the main court, the Supreme Court of Ireland, and then you can go on. It's not that expensive then to go on to get a case referred. So that's what we're doing. They know the onshore. They know the onshore wind is over. We have everyone shipped up. There's people living all over Ireland facing this, and they have the money, and we have them pinned down. We have knocked 2 of them out already, and we'll knock loads of them out. They know it's over, and it's even in the ruling of the European Court that the existing ones have to come down. So they're not too happy with that. So now we have to attack the offshore wind energy program. They have to do a full environmental report. They have to hire specialists. There has to be really specialists. They have to be independent. EirGrid can do it. Anyone can do it. This body can do it here that they're setting up, but they have to hire expertise. There's no way the girl or the fella in the office making the tea can have a say in this. And they have to have guidelines for them, and they have to have all this. And by the time they get all that done, it'll be several years. So that's just bringing it to your attention, folks. Groups, please understand that this is the law. And where you have 10 groups, I have found that there's about 4 of them will not invoke the law. I think they're stuck up in the politicians or something. Northeast Pile and Pressure is one example of a group that had millions collected and refused to invoke this. But I got round them despite them. And we got by them, but we lost a few. So now you'll have fishermen round the coast as well. And my cousin, he's a TD up in the Dáil, you know, and I have another, she's in the civil service. You're going to have to get over that. You're going to have to stick them on that. And we only need a little bit of help anyway to try, if we have the help, and challenge them as they go along. By right, there should be an injunction taken right now to stop this new body, whatever the name of it is, marine things and all that, to stop them doing that outside of the proper law. Just if you want to do it, go in and read the Article 3.2 of the Strategic Environmental Assessment Directive 2004. So this is Article 3.2. You'll get it there. Go into the official version of it. Subject to paragraph 3, an environmental assessment shall be carried out for all plans and programs which are prepared for agriculture, forestry, fishery, energy, industry, transport, waste management, water management, telecommunications, tourism, town and country planning and land use, and which sets the framework for future development consent for projects listed in Annex 1 and Annex 2 of the EIA Directive, and wind farms on and offshore are listed in that. It's simple as that. And that does not take place. They have bypassed that and they got away with it. I'd say only for me and a few more that have got away, but I think this Friends of the Irish Environment also have a lot of credit, even though they're not necessarily on our side. So now I've made this video. There's a man rings up all these groups, a friend of mine, and he keeps in touch. And all you have to do when he gets on to you is do that. We can advise on that. You can send a letter to me at Val Martin, European Platform Against Wind Farms, Kingscourt, County Cavan, and I'll help you any way I can. They think they're getting away with this. We have them well booked, as we say up here in the northeast. We have them well caught, and they can't do it. And my opinion is they don't have the staff prepared to do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. By right, you have to decide what you're going to do, what you're going to build. And you see, they're caught because they can't show it works. Imagine we have 4,000 megawatts of onshore wind, and they're going to put the same offshore. And the 4,000 megawatts of offshore wind has given us the highest electricity price in Europe, and they're going to double it. And these windmills gets the same price as the most expensive fossil fuel on the whole system. So if they only use a ton of coal, and coal went up to €1,000 for a megawatt hour or a ton or whatever, they have to, the whole wind energy wholesale has to get €1,000, even though the gas and the oil might only be 50. Do you get me point? That's the ridiculous nature of this. This is pure corruption. The government relies on the developers. The developers are there to rip off with big pension funds and everywhere else, and rip off the Irish people, while our industry and everything is being destroyed. And I repeat again, people are now having their cooking stopped for their kids because they put in these stupid prepaid meters. This is the criminality of our government, and our people don't want to know it, but this is the fact. Folks, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We'll see you back for something else soon. Thank you very much.